Okay, so it's the 24th, I think it is, of March, and it's 15 degrees or so outside, probably a bit more than that. There's no wind, it's sunny, so probably going to get into the bees. Now, for the last 10 days, they've been bringing pollen in, not every day, but most days. It's been pretty dry and sunny, and these on the scales, I've been weighing them every couple of weeks since the end of November, and they've been roughly losing about a kilo or so a month, maybe a little bit more, up to 1.5. And then 10 days ago I weighed them, and they were all flying like crazy for 2 or 3 days, and they lost a kilo of weight. I don't know what that was, but in 5 days they lost a kilo of weight. And yesterday I checked them again for weight, and they put on 300 grams yesterday. So they're bringing in a lot of pollen. I don't know what it is they're bringing in and going out. I don't know where the weight's going. But anyway, that's just the scales. So I haven't looked in any of these hives other than this one. I did look in a couple of weeks ago when it was nice-ish weather, just to check and see if they had enough storage. And I thought they needed a little bit more. So I gave them a tiny bit of sugar, because this is just a nuke. But the others I haven't looked in at all since New Year's Eve. And it was about 13 degrees, and I did have a quick look in on them, New Year's Eve, which, just to say that I'd done it really on New Year's Eve, because everybody says that's too late to be looking at bees, and it probably is, but I thought I'd have a look. And they did have a little bit of brood in there as well then, but it was a nice warm day, and they didn't mind me too much. So let's see what we got in this nuke. Restuck. Obviously everything's going to be stuck together. I did take this frame out a couple of weeks ago, and it was pretty much empty. And there you go, look, they've put a little bit in it. Yeah, so there's just that bit left. So I gave them some, they've topped it up, and they're filling it with pollen as well. So that looks good. That looks fine. I don't know if they are bringing in, can't tell from that if they're bringing nectar in yet or not, because I did give them a tiny bit of syrup. I doubt they're bringing nectar in yet though. Just loads of pollen everywhere. It's looking like there's quite a few bees in here. Need to get some sun on that. I don't hang around too long, I'm pretty sure. Look, there's eggs there. Not hard to see. Got my new veil on today as well. And it's a bit trickier to see through, I think. So I've got a little bit of brood there that's capped in the middle, and there's some tiny little larvae around it, and eggs around the outside of that. That frame's almost completely laid out. And yeah, I've got a bit of drone brood there as well. And there's larvae there. So that's, I'm going to call that full frame of open brood. And there we go, that is pretty much a full frame of brood, capped, and there's brood around the outside, open as well. And the same here, we've got emerging brood. And there's a fuzzy brand new bee as well. Just there. Just come out. So we've got brood emerging. Look at that, another frame of brood. I don't like these veils, they're easy to see through. Not out the way, mate. So we didn't see the queen yet, did we? But maybe she was there, I didn't spot her. Whoa, look at all that pollen. So lots and lots of pollen. Lots and lots of stores. I didn't notice the queen, but I saw lots of eggs. So we've got lots of brood in there. Looking good. Just how you want a nuke to look, really, at the end of March. Right, now this one is in 2 boxes and they were fairly full, but the queen, this is so I measure how heavy the hive is. I pour water in these to see how much they're losing and putting on. So not a lot going on in this top box. I've got a couple of hives that I did on 1 box, and I don't know if 1 box is going to be better really. Wow, there's stacks and stacks of honey in here. So this nothing in here has been out for this year. I haven't looked in here at all. This looks like it's just honey. Probably we had so much ivy last year. Look at that. I did take ivy off of these and I gave them back the same weight in sugar. This is the only one I took ivy honey off, so that is probably, doesn't look like ivy honey, that's sugar syrup. And it looks like it's pretty much all like that. But we'll have a quick look at the middle frame over here. Just so we know what's going on. They're all stuck down. Okay, so they've used a little bit. Whoa, and that looks like fresh nectar, doesn't it? So I've not fed these any syrup since October. And there's eggs in there as well. So we've got eggs in that. Can't see any this side. There's definitely eggs in that side. So the queen is moving up, and they've got, this is a much lighter frame. Yeah, eggs. Eggs. Well, I mean, it's tempting to go further and look down, but they've got loads and loads of stores. They've got eggs in the top box. You can't see the queen, and I don't really need to know how many frames of brood they've got right now, because not much chance of any They're needing another box because they've got 2 boxes. I know they've got a queen in there laying, so we'll put this back together and move on. That was nice and easy, wasn't it? So this is hive 6. It's the other one that I've got in the shed in the yard, so keep an eye on this one quite closely. And loads of pollen coming in today and the last few days as well. And these have got 2 boxes. Haven't looked in these since October. Not even. I did have a quick check actually in the top, make sure they had some stores, which they had loads. So that was just a quick look in the top. And I actually, a few days ago, I managed to stuff my thermometer, compost thermometer, in between the 2 boxes. And I don't know if you can see that, but it says 38 degrees, I believe. So that'll be interesting to see what happens to that. I'll probably take it out now because it will fall. But look, they've stuck it in now. There we go. There we go. So that was 38 degrees in there. And so it'll be interesting to see if that goes down. Obviously it'll go down when I open it up, and see how quickly they get it back up to temperature again. Seeing how much difference opening it up makes. So I don't know how many bees they've got in here, no idea. But there's 2 holes on the top. And a lot more bees than there was in the other top box of the other hive. A lot more bees. Okay, this is all well and truly stuck together. So I'm going to have to try and get one of these in. There's a lot of bees in here for the top box. And yeah, they are full of these. I didn't hardly give these any syrup. It's probably all ivy. Honey. There we go. Yeah, ivy honey, whole frame full of it. You can see it's all like cream in there, crystallized. They'll dig it out hopefully if they need it, which they will at some point. So I wonder how many frames of that they got in here before we get full. These frames are stuck. That one's full. Well, the first inspection, everything is stuck. That one's full. This one doesn't feel quite so heavy. So this one's not full. And there's eggs in there. There's actually drone brood and worker brood and eggs and pollen, which we know is going to be loads of pollen. And the weather we've had the last few days, absolutely stunning. we go. Brood. So you can see where the cluster was in the winter, and they had all this excess food, but now they're going to use that to feed back to the brood. And they've got loads of food, loads of bees, and they've obviously got a laying queen as well, because we've seen eggs. This is all stuck. So yeah, that would have been right at the bottom of these frames is where the thermometer was, so 38 degrees. Look at all that brood. So there's not a lot of empty cells. There's either food or eggs or larvae in every cell so far. Same again. Same again. And there's a queen cup on the bottom, which there's a bee going into and I'm going to look at it. But obviously it's only the end of March. We're not expecting any swarming action, but if it looked like this at the end of April, I would be thinking otherwise. But we don't know what's going on in the bottom box, do we? That's the thing with two boxes. I'm wondering whether just a one box might be better. I don't know what's going on in that bottom box. So there's larvae. There's no empty cells anywhere. That is all brood. Look at all that lovely swimming in jelly day-old larvae in there, and older ones in the middle. Just glistening. Beautiful. And that is just full, completely full. Well, I'm gonna remove, there's just no room in here for the queen to lay in this top box. I don't know what's going on in the bottom box, and I don't think I really want to look down there at this point. So my plan is going to be to take out those two frames, there's no brood in that frame, here I have a completely empty drawn frame, which I'm going to put in there. And I'm going to move these back over again. I'm going to put in two empty frames on the edges of the brood nest. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames that are pretty much half full of brood. I don't know what's going on in the bottom box, but it looks to me, looking down, that that is full of bees as well, and quite possibly full of brood. But they've got so much spare pollen and so much spare honey in there that even if the weather goes bad for a couple of weeks, I reckon they're going to be good without those 2 frames. So there we go. I'm not going to go down into the bottom box of that one either. Just going to put them back together, but I think that is going to be a bit of a story with all the hives. I have not used very much stores over the winter. They've just still got at least half of it left. So let's stick that thermometer back in. It didn't really interfere with that bottom box, so the thermometer is going to go right back in at the bottom of the frames I took out. So I don't think I would have interfered too much with their temperature, but I took out all those top frames, so heat could have got out. I put everything straight back in again. So I'm just going to stick it in, see what temperature it is. Almost straight away we're over we're almost up to 30 degrees already. Right, so these frames now I'm going to need to brush off. Shake off. Ivy honey. Look at that. Beautiful frame. Oh, that side's not so good. Look at that. Look at that. Surplus ivy honey. That's all ivy, that is. Those bees will, probably most of them are flying bees, but if not, they will walk back and find their way back into the hive. Right. Well, this is a brilliant start anyway. 3 hive checks, 3 laying queens, surplus honey. Well, what do you want from beekeeping? Beautiful sunny day. Look at the pollen going in. Okay, so this is where half my hives are. I've got 5 here. There's a double nuke there, but the other 4 are big hives. I did have a 5th one, or a 6th box here, but they didn't make it. Not sure why, but they dwindled away, and I took the box away a couple of months ago. I realised they were empty, and the others were starting to rob it out on dry days or warm days, so didn't want that to happen. So I took it away. So I've got a few empty frames as well, which are quite useful. So some of these got 2 boxes, some of them got 1. So this is 2 boxes of these, so we don't know what's in the bottom box. My hive still, can you see that? Thank you. Right. Look at that. That's what you want to see when you open a box of bees for the first time in the spring. Bees from wall to wall. These aren't quite so stuck together as the other one was. But they are loaded with bees. Wow, okay, so we've got brood this in, but it's all drone brood at the moment, which is not exactly what we want to see, but it is on the end frame, so Okay. Put that down there for a minute. Okay, well, there we go, it's a bit more promising. We've got some worker brood. That's one less worry. Look at all that pollen. What is it, 24th of March? And they have a massive surplus of pollen, and they have catch drones. Nuts. And the blackthorn has not even started flowering properly yet. That is just full. Every cell is full. And the bees are emerging, and the queen's laying back in there as well. Oh, it's a bad place to put the smoker. Absolutely, that's full of larvae, and obviously that has already gone through a hatch and emerged, because that's in the middle. Not very good. Not very good focus on that, is it? There we go. Whoa, can you see it? That is just beautiful swimming larvae, both sides, and obviously that has already emerged, so we've got loads of nurse bees in there as well. So we're on second one. So that is also emerging and getting laid back in. Wow, I've lost count of how many frames of brood we got already. I'm not even halfway across the box. These have not got as much stores, but they've got enough at the moment. That is just everywhere. The queen has just gone crazy. All this pollen coming in, she's just laying every single cell that's empty. I don't think I need to give these an empty frame. They've already got so much brood in here, and I think that could be the end of the brood nest. Okay, yeah, look at that. Look at that frame. Just look at all that pollen. Shadow, but that's nuts. Look, tiny little bit of brood in the bottom corner, and there's brood on the back end of this frame as well. And there we go. That is a frame of honey. Okay, so as soon as they'd already had all that over there, what I'm going to do is just even them up a little bit. I'm going to put this frame of honey on this end. Just make it a bit easier for them. But it is still quite warm. There's another frame of honey there, and in this frame they got that little bit of drone brood. And look at that ivy. Oh man, look how much they pulled that out. That's a massive frame. I'll drop it in now. I don't know, do I have a little look in the bottom box or not? Other than for being curious, there's not really any reason to. but okay, so I don't really need to look in the bottom box, but I just want to see what I'm dealing with. Okay, so it's a lot going on in that frame, isn't it? We've abandoned that one for a minute. That is completely empty as well. It's full of bees, but no stores. No stores here. And there's a few eggs as well in this. Loads of pollen still. And that's only the third frame in, so 2 empty frames and then we're bang into it. Yeah, there's a few eggs in those cells at the top. In around the pollen there's just eggs. So they're starting to work their way down. Yeah, just stacks of pollen. And these bees are merging everywhere, so these have not got an over massive amount of stores. If we get a couple of weeks of bad weather with all these bees in here and all this brood, same on that one. That one's a little bit heavier. And nothing out there. So I'm going to need to be careful with these. They're so big, so much brood, and our weather is not going to stay like this. We get a couple of weeks of bad weather and they are going to crash. But they're doing absolutely brilliant at the moment. And we are set for another whole week of it, so I didn't need to give them any frames, but I've got frames of honey, so if I know if the forecast is looking pretty bad at any time, I can just slip some in there. These are not looking quite so populated, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, well, pretty much all of that I would say is full of honey. This is a bit more like what I was expecting, but yeah, they're full. Not a lot of bees in this top box. It's funny how some are in the top box. These are in the bottom box. So there's no brood, but lots and lots of honey. Whether it's, I mean, the others are just making brood like crazy, and these are looking after their stores. Look at that pollen. So they're bringing in pollen. Well, we know they're bringing in pollen, but they should be sticking that into some brood somewhere. So obviously we've seen no brood yet, which could be a problem. Oh, no sooner than I said that, and what do? Pull out a frame of brood. Okay. And another frame of brood. They were hiding it from us. There's the queen. First queen of the day. And we got eggs. Full of eggs, this frame. Both sides. Where did our queen go? There she is. A little bit of black on that queen. Right, so we will go down, around, be careful though. So we'll just drop her down very carefully. Do not want to squish the queen. Okay, so they got loads of stores, they got a laying queen. Nothing to be learnt really by looking in that bottom box. Can't change anything, you might as well just get on with it. Okay, so now we get into the first one that has only got one box. This is 4, I think, isn't it? This is the 2006 swarm. These are really dark, these. I've only got one box, so it'd be interesting to see what's going on now. I only let them have one box last winter as well, and when I got to check them, they were on the edge. They only just made it. Stores, but that was later. That was sort of end of April, I think. So they've still got a month to go yet, and it was very cold in April last year. Whoa, this looks full. To get that first frame out, and that's ivy honey both sides. More ivy honey, full frame, and again. Okay, so we've got some empty cells down there. Pollen and they're definitely bringing nectar in as well from something. Blackthorn is just in a couple of places flowering, so hope for brood on this one. No, we got eggs though. And there's the queen, there she is. Look how dark she is. She is a beauty. Right there. Right there she is. Look at that. She's a monster. Pollen. I think they got enough pollen. Right, so here we go. This is a error, obviously, on my part. I had a bit of honey left over after, well, when I melted the wax down, and there's a bit of honey left, and I put it in here and gave it to them, and they decided to break into the feeder. But there's too 2 nucs here. So there's obviously there's, I think, all the bees, they can get together. So they've been getting together, which is not ideal, is it? No, it's not a good plan. Yeah, but they're going to be, well, there's massive, look at all that. You can tell straight away they're full. Completely full of bees. What am I going to do with you lot? It's a bit early to put them in a bigger box, but they are busting out of here. Only got 5 frames. Is it too early to put them in a bigger box? Probably. Well, this is the thing, trying to put 5 frames in these half a box is that there is quite a bit of space on the ends, which is usually good, but they've managed to fill it up. Well, they got brood. Full frame. And there's probably brood on the end of that one as well. But they've, what a mess. Okay, just about got enough room to get these frames out, but don't really need to take them out. I know there's a queen in there laying, and if there's brood on that one, usually the brood will come right up to here. They've got lots of stores. So there we go. Got to think about whether I move them into a bigger box. Obviously if they've got 3 frames of brood, some of it's capped, so in 3 weeks they're going to have 9 frames of bees. Possibly less than that, and they've only got 5 frames in there. Are you lot any different? That should have been sealed. Not really supposed to get together, even though you're sisters. So these have got the entrance on this side, and these have got the entrance on this side. That's how this box works. So the others have plenty of stores. These though are looking a bit different. Plenty of bees. Okay, yeah, that's quite heavy. That's good. But it's tucked up right against the side, which it shouldn't be really. Maybe this box is, well, it will be in the middle. Oh, they've built this frame, that's what it is, look, they've built this frame out. They've built this frame out into that one. So, they're quite heavy. Not a lot I can do about knowing whether they've got a laying queen or not. They've got enough stores. Can't really get them out. We're going to have to move them into a bigger box soon. Then we'll have space to get them out and decide what to do with them. But There isn't a lot we can do now. We've got another week of good weather. They're not going to run out of food. If we don't get 3 weeks of rain after that, I reckon we'll be okay.